I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm not where I'm meant to be. Brand new.
Welcome to Outsmart the Hustle, where we turn hard work into smart work, helping you focus on the high-impact moves that drive your business forward without getting stuck in the grind. Hey guys, I'm your host, Hannah McGinty, and today we have a special guest on the podcast, Daniel K. Films. Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name, like you said, is Daniel Karnafel. I own Daniel K. Films and more recently Taking Back Time, and I run a high-volume wedding videography studio as well as a more boutique luxury wedding videography operation.
What inspired you to start your videography business, and what was the biggest challenge you faced early on?
This could be a long answer or a short answer. So I initially wanted to get into weddings because I didn't want to wait super long to get a camera in my hand, right? To become like a director of photography on large commercials and films and stuff like that. So I ended up reaching out on Craigslist of all things and found my way into a very eccentric wedding videographer or wedding photographer's operation. I was kind of his video intern for a little while. I was doing that here and there. And then I met a girl who I wanted to impress, and just doing weddings sometimes didn't sound that impressive and didn't sound like much of a career. So I built a website and put a business on paper, put together all my highlight films into kind of like one reel, and launched a wedding videography company that was Daniel K. Films in 2016. So why? I did it to impress a girl. It worked. We're married now, so that's good. Yeah, that's where it all started. Early on, I think time management and maybe inspiration, actually. I think that early on, I started out priced at a certain level to where like there's a lot of demand for that price range, right? Just low price, right? Many people start lower price. And so I was working a lot, and it was very hard to stay inspired during that time. And it just kind of felt very repetitive, just, in the room, editing all the time, shooting things that really largely felt the same. And so, yeah, that was a big hurdle, was kind of to find inspiration and find motivation to honestly just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Daniel already is, he's probably one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet. But when you actually look at what he does and all of the films that he creates and the large team that he has working with him, you're like, dang, this guy is impressive. He does a lot. And
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, Daniel, you didn't give yourself enough credit for how awesome you are, but you are. So how do you kind of differentiate yourself in a crowded market when you first got started and even today?
Any recognition and success that I've gotten in recent years, and thank you so much for that shout out. I appreciate your kind words. There definitely was a turning point where I noticed that, so kind of contrasting from the feeling less inspired, feeling less motivated, what really broke me out of that was noticing people start to care all of a sudden about what I was putting out. And that came around the time that Reels got popular. And there was just like such a tangible thing that happened there where, you post a reel that like goes even a little bit viral, like all these likes and all these comments and things like that. And kind of how, photography sort of owned the Instagram space before, as far as like viewership and attention and stuff like that, it kind of started to flip. And so right around that time, it just became way more fun. So yeah, your question was partially like, how do I differentiate myself? I try to just post authentic, high quality content as much as possible. And yeah, it's really, really fun to watch that get noticed and, watch people start to care. It's very motivating.
So do you find that you post generally like genuine moments from the couples for the couples or for the videographers to see? Have you heard how people sometimes post for their other videographers that are watching?
It's kind of an interesting space right now. And I think about it a lot. It's like when you're editing something and creating content or versus creating deliverables and things like that, it's important to take a step back and try to understand for yourself, like, who are you doing each thing for? My philosophy in the past was that I would kind of create highlight films in such a way to where I could clip highlight films, like things that I'm actually delivering to couples, right? I'd clip a highlight film and make that into a good piece of content that, could go online. Now, my mindset is kind of like, highlight film and just any deliverable that I'm delivering to the couple, I try to make that as much for the couple as possible. I'm not concerned with like how many views is this particular segment of the highlight film going to get if I post it to Instagram or things like their full length film and stuff like that. The teaser is a little bit different. That's for the couple, but I do like that for social media as well. But, during the editing process of like making a deliverable, I will often kind of put things off to the side during the editing process and be like, oh, this would be a nice clip on social media. This cute little funny moment, if edited the right way, could go a little viral. People could connect to this. And, in full transparency, that's for me, that's for my marketing. I'm, creating that piece because I think that it will gain some traction or be good marketing for my business. But what is kind of interesting about that dynamic is it kind of comes full circle, and it is also for couples in that sense. Because what I've noticed is that when couples, when I post something that gets noticed or just is for social media, it's for me. Couples really like that part of the experience. I think they like the attention and just the idea that like somebody is posting something important about them, even if it's not them posting to their own page. That also kind of becomes part of the client experience as well.
Weren't you the one that also posted the Q-tip couple?
I did post the Q-tip couple. Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of like identified as that. They were like, "Yeah, we're the Q-tip couple," and they were really excited. Like, didn't they like have an interview or something? Something circulated for a little while about that, and it was really cool. And you were just posting a genuine moment at the same time. So I feel like we can't just overlook like these tiny little things because it's really more human things that trend online, genuine moments that people aren't going to just repeat normally, right? And it helps it stand out. That's something that I noticed about your work, that when you post a reel, I'm like, okay, this is a genuine moment specific to this couple that, other couples haven't seen because it wasn't them, right?
Yeah, for them in particular, that was such a fun ride. I mean, the posting the Q-tip couple, that one was just like, I knew I wanted to post that. It was definitely a super particular moment that, not that any moment is super standard, but it wasn't standard, right? It was something that you would see happen at a lot of weddings. And so, yeah, for that to go viral as much as it did, it was really fun throughout the whole process. I involved them in the whole process. They saw it. So they saw all the views. So there was a certain point at which the Drew Barrymore show reached out to me via email, and they were like, "We'd love to feature this video." That didn't end up going through. So just that level of attention. I told Laura and Doug, the Q-tip couples, like, "Hey, this is happening." And of course, imagine you're a couple, right? And your likeness, your face is getting all of these views. It ended up with 60 million views just on my page. And all the different comments, people asking, "Where'd you get your dress?" All this stuff. I mean, you can imagine being in their shoes and feeling over the moon.
Yeah. So, but it's like some couples really enjoy that too. I had one couple that went viral and they got like identified on their honeymoon in Mexico. They're like, "Wait, are you the couple that did this, this, and this?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, we love your wedding and everything." I can't imagine being in those shoes because I'm an introvert personally. And like, if people could identify me just from some video, I'd be like, "Whoa." But for the couples and their experience, I feel like they enjoy it. I don't know. So what are some common mistakes new videographers make when launching their businesses?
I would say, I think people can get discouraged for not being farther along sooner. At the end of the day, a lot of traction and a lot of these things just take a lot of time. A lot of people can look like they're sort of overnight successes. I mean, like maybe I'm an example to some people. They saw that, a video went viral and a few thousand followers on Instagram later, maybe people know my work more. I think that the story behind all that is that in the 2 years leading up to that wedding, I shot over 100 weddings myself. So it was just a lot of hard work. And, and then there was years before that shooting similar amounts. So it's like the hard work has to be there in order for you to, perfect your craft. I think that there's a lot of that has to happen. I remember early on, I saw a lot of wedding films of people who were very established. And I thought to myself, like, I can do that. Like, I'm already that good. Like, that doesn't even look that hard. And, not to be like super conceited, but just like watching a video, there was nothing other videographers were doing that I technically on paper didn't know how to do. Like I had the editing skill, like I know how to get those shots and stuff like that. But just having a lot of humility in the beginning and just understanding where you're at and how much room you have to grow and allowing yourself to take the time to work, film, edit, practice, grow, and not expecting it to happen, overnight or within a year or something like that. It takes time.
Yeah, it does. And you're kind of in this industry for the long haul too. I see people, I don't know if you're also on this train, but do you ever delete footage from past couples or do you hold on to it for a certain amount of time? This is for Daniel K. Films.
For Daniel K. Films, haven't deleted anything. I have not.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have not deleted anything. I got started in 2019. And so it's like I have 4 18 terabyte storage things on my desk right now. And I have also the cloud. And I'm like, I just couldn't see myself ever deleting those. I saw a post the other day in a videographer's Facebook group about how this is sad, oops, but the husband had passed away and they had been married 6 years ago. And the videographer was saying in the group, he wishes that he could have been able to provide her with anything, the raw footage. And, he at least had the export of the video itself through like Vimeo or something like that. But he didn't have any of the other footage because he just saw it as a job and not necessarily as like you get to provide so much value to a couple for the rest of their life, So I was like, that's a very interesting perspective on like wedding videography. Where is it just a job or is this going to be like a lifestyle that we're in for the long haul, knowing that there's a lot of responsibility that we have holding all of these footage and files for these couples. And yeah, it's kind of scary to think about. I would never delete it, but
yeah, no, I've never deleted stuff either. And it's been the times that I've been asked years later to deliver raw footage or like ask for more footage or something like that. It's been far and few between, but one sticks out to me where it was a similar situation. The bride's father passed and, they just got a highlight film and she asked if I could deliver her speech. And I was like, yeah. And it was years later, but I still had it. So yeah, I think it's a great practice to hold on to that stuff. And even just it speaks to the value of the deliverables you do give them, right? There is a lot of value in what we give them in the sense that they get their highlight film back a few months later or whatever one's turnaround time is. And it's super exciting to watch and maybe you're going to post it and there's all that excitement. But I saw a post on a videographer thread that was like, hey, here's a reminder to all of you videographers who are in the middle of editing another speech that sounds exactly like all the other speeches you've ever heard. And, you're kind of lacking motivation and stuff like that. That speech that you're editing right now, think about the value that it has now versus the value that it's going to have in 30 years, in 40 years, 50 years, right? So like the longevity of this, there's going to come a time where like close to the end of the couple's lives or somebody else's life, they're going to be like, I really, really would love to view that moment again and hold on to that thing that they captured. So it's important for us, people in our line of work to remember that while we're trying to be impressive on social media and like, get into whatever target demographic we're trying to get into and be impressive. It's good to, remember the long term.
How has networking played a role in growing your business? Because you kind of have 2 different sides to it. Do you want to explain a little bit about that for the audience?
Yeah, totally. So, networking has been hugely important. I think that it's one of the most important things in this business, because while we talk about marketing kind of on like a digital sort of social media level, there is also so much that happens person to person. Referral networks is like kind of everything in this business, despite all of the rest of it. So my version of networking is honestly just like on the job networking and just trying to crush it at every project, at every wedding, and just be the best team player possible. I find that like that's really the best place to make a good impression because, planners, photographers, venue managers, like whoever you're trying to get referrals from, the best indication that they can have that you would be somebody who would be good to work with is working with you. So, I like to just make as good of an impression as possible. To, go into how Daniel K. Films turned into sort of the high volume studio briefly. That's how that came about too. I just had a good working relationship with a photographer. Her name's Emily Chappell. And there came a point where she was doing some stuff with her business that was going to take it off in a very big way. And there was room for videography to be a part of that. And she could have inquired to literally any other videographer that she'd worked with. But I think I had made a good enough impression to where I was the one that she had that primary conversation with. So, all that is to say, like, you literally never know what connection you make at any wedding or any networking event or whatever. You never know which one could pan out to be something that's like truly very, very important and significant. So it helps to just make the best impression whenever you can.
Do you network with any other vendors other than the planners, the photographers, and the venue managers that I feel like videographers would stereotypically try to network the most with?
I'm part of WIPA, which is a Dallas organization that has all kinds of vendors. But I'll admit, honestly, whenever I'm thinking about which vendors that I would want to have the biggest and most robust network of, it is those three. Especially kind of on the more luxury end, it's definitely like planner first, then photographer. I think that in like kind of the middle range, it's definitely like planner, photographer, and venue. I think that there is a lot of power in being on like the venue preferred vendor list, right? There is definitely a lot of marketing power there, just referral network power there. But it comes back to just making the best impression with everybody. Because while somebody who runs a coffee cart might not get you a booking directly, if you have a good reputation, right? And so much of this just comes down to reputation. Like, are you willing to work hard? Are you fun to work with? All of these things that are tangible and intangible. I mean, people have conversations about other people whenever they're just, you're not there, right? Like people just have conversations. And so like when your name's brought up and what types of feelings and stuff is associated with your name, that carries a lot of weight too. So just because you're not going to get a direct referral from people who are downstream of you, and that's even like DJs and stuff like that, all the rest of the vendors that people are booking a little bit more last minute, it doesn't mean that you have to, not try with other people. You got to try it with everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's almost like not about who you know, but who knows you in this industry. It's like, who's talking about you? Where are you making good impressions? Like, did you really knock it out of the ballpark for this one venue walkthrough video? And now they're just talking about it to everybody that walks in, I also recently had a caterer that's like, hey, we know someone getting married that needs a videographer. I'm like, a caterer. So it's
amazing.
Amazing. We just never know where leads are going to come from, right? What advice do you have, though, for introverts? Like, I feel like a lot of videographers are introverts. Nice. There's a few that aren't, but a lot of them are, who struggle with networking.
So, for instance, I'm nominated again for AACWP, favorite videographer for, past year, 2024. I won last year, super awesome. And I was nominated the year before. And that first nomination, I was literally shocked. I was shocked that I was even on that list because it seemed like people who were nominated were like way better networked and like knew all these planners. I just didn't think I was there. And then like that just came out of left field. So to the introverts out there who think they're not good at networking, you don't need to be a socialite to get people to like you. You need to sometimes just do your job well and be friendly. And I think that anybody can do that, probably especially introverts, because we're all so worried about what people think about us that we're probably overcompensating and trying to be friendly and stuff. So as an introvert, you might have a superpower and not realize it. And that's just work hard, be nice, be friendly, be likable.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like genuine is a really good word. It's probably the theme of this whole podcast. So how do you approach networking events to make that genuine connection instead of just handing out business cards? I've been to networking events where someone just walks up to you, gives you a card, and they walk away, and I'm like, "What's your name?"
So like being a part of WIPA is one of the first really formal networking things that I've been a part of. And I've been to a few events, and I'll be honest, it's terrifying. It is. I'm not good. Maybe I'm okay at it, but like a networking event is not where I thrive, right? And I've had a decent amount of success, and like still that is not like I didn't just become a socialite overnight just because of other things. So how do I approach them? I just try as much as possible. If they have an open bar, I'm probably there quickly to try to get over the initial, in full transparency, to try to get over the initial, like, I don't really know how to strike up a conversation with these people. But, there becomes a flow, right? If networking terrifies you, rest assured that it probably terrifies half the other people there, and everybody's just trying to make it. So just walk up to somebody, ask them how they're doing, make a friend. It helped that one recently was like, it was like a pickleball mixer. So there was at least something to like do and not just have to stand around and talk. So again, I literally just joined this last year. So that was really fun. But yeah, they generally seem pretty fun.
Right now I'm in SWP. I'm doing stuff on their board and it's been a little busy, but I'm interested in WIPA. So it's come up again and again. And I'm like, all right, it's time. I think something also to note for the introverts struggling out there is people really love to talk about themselves. So if you keep asking them
Yes.
questions about what they do, like they love what they do, what got them started, I feel like that breaks the ice even further because then you're getting to know them and you're not just making the networking conversation about you, which some people do, and it's really awkward. So, it's when you
Yeah.
can actually care about the other people around you too. You're not just there for cash grabs, you're there to actually build relationships.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a great approach. Just go into anything and just learn as much about other people as you can. And yeah, good things will come. And networking too is not like something that is going to give you success overnight. It's kind of like pour into as many people as you can, attend networking groups over and over again, and get your name out there. It's not, so many of these things are not just like do a thing and that equates to this many inquiries. You know what I mean? It's like, it's way more broad level. It's like post content, see how many people it gets to. People talk about it, eventually one will come. Network, know as many people as possible, and it could be a year later that anybody you even met like refers you out. But like these things take time.
Yeah, they do. So let's talk about networking with fellow videographers now. Why do you believe that's important? How have you seen that help your own business? And are they technically your competition, or are you gonna so many people have different viewpoints on that. And I think I see videographers less at networking events than on actual shoots. I don't know if that you've also experienced that. But there aren't many videographers out there networking, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think it's hugely important. We've kind of talked about things on a personal level. It's way more fun to just do this with other people and have stuff to talk about. I know that I don't encounter videographers like ever out in the wild on weddings, because for the longest time before starting the studio, I just had like a group of 3 second shooters who I would rotate in and out. And it was like me and them, and those are the only videographers I knew in the area. And I was part of like a Facebook group, and we kind of chatted sometimes, but that's it. And I think a lot of us sort of feel that way, to where we don't know that many other videographers often. But like, man, when you get us all in a room, it's just so fun. There is that sense where a lot of us are doing this thing that's so solo. You know what I mean? Like we shoot a thing, we hang out with all these new people, and then we just like edit for hours and hours and hours. And it can be lonely, actually. It really can be. But to get to know other people is just really fun. It's good to get inspired by other filmmakers. Are we each other's competition? Yeah, to a certain degree. But I think it's just a good community. I think the videography community is full of a bunch of like easygoing, creative, awesome people. And we all just kind of get that, like, yeah, maybe we're each other's competition technically, but, we still have to pour into each other. And, you don't know who could end up, helping you in the future, right? If you're running kind of like a studio similar to how we are, it's like, are we pouring into some people that could end up taking business from us eventually? Yeah, maybe. It's quite possible, but you can't not do it. And it's good and it's okay.
I have a thought. I want to know your thought on it. To say that we could eliminate competition if everyone knew exactly what made them unique as a videographer, because what you deliver is different than what I deliver. And we have a whole different type of videography product at the same time. But a certain couple will vibe with Daniel K. Films and another couple will vibe with Modern Memoir. You know what I mean? So maybe there are too many videographers with the scarcity mindset that are like, oh, you could take my work away or something like that. But maybe they just haven't found yet what makes them stand out from the people around them.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. And understanding your own branding and really drilling down on what you want to deliver and what your sort of unique product is definitely will help in just your overall sales, right? But two, I've heard this interesting take where it's like videographers just like doing well across the board, it actually elevates the industry. And I've heard that buzzword a lot. Elevate the industry. What does that actually mean? Well, I think what it means is that it makes more people want to have a videographer, period. Because what is something that we encounter is that there are many weddings that don't have a videographer, yet every wedding has a photographer. So what's the deal there? All right, well, the problem is that between photo and video, there just seems to be a value discrepancy for couples. they might value photo more than they do video. And I think that's just a fact. It's just wherever we're at culturally, weddings, maybe it's technology, I don't know. But like, that's sort of the fact. However, if by and large, wedding videographers just do so good and crush it every time, it becomes a product that like people desire more and more, to where we could probably eventually bridge that gap of like, now it is uncommon for there not to be a videographer because videography generally has such a good reputation. And to bring it back, like that could be a result of us all sort of building each other up, not having this scarcity mindset, and just elevating the industry.
So there was a book I just read. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. Well, there's this like example in it where there's a ladder, right? If you go up the ladder, if you have a competitive mindset, you knock the ladder down before anyone else is able to go up for it. But if you have a creativity mindset, you provide value to everybody around you and lift them up together. And I was like, there's one or the other. So which one is it? And which mindset do we have? You know, whether it comes to money or it comes to teamwork, it comes to our businesses, it comes to, I don't know, food, like however we want to go about it, we could really apply that to any single area in our life. But I was like, this is a very interesting concept. You know, we create a lot of like what we feel through the thoughts in our mind and what we're thinking, and then we act on it. And so I feel like if someone has been in this scarcity mindset for so long, it's going to just play out and affect every single part of their business and their networking relationships, you know?
Yeah.
What's kind of one piece, as we wrap up, what's one piece of advice you'd like to give to videographers who are hesitant to connect with others in their field?
Yeah, you know, I would say, what do you have to lose? You know, go into conversations and just connecting with other people with an open mind, and just understand that it can only benefit you. Maybe it, you know, benefits you as a person. Maybe it benefits you tangibly in your business. But I think you've got nothing to lose, and you don't have much to gain by just doing this all by yourself. You'll burn out. You'll probably burn out, honestly.
Yeah. Great advice. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast with me today, sharing some wisdom and just encouraging some videographers to get out of their shell and network and better the industry as well as their own businesses as a result. Could you tell them where to find you on your website, your Instagram?
Yeah, totally. Shoot me a follow, Daniel K Films on Instagram. No spaces, Daniel, the letter K, Films on Instagram. Hope to connect with any of you guys out there.
Awesome. So be sure to share this with a business owner who could use a little less grind and a lot more growth in their business. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
I'm feeling like a brand new me. Brand new, brand new. Feeling like a brand new me, brand new me. I'm feeling like a brand new me.
Outsmart the Hustle is produced by Memoir Mastery, a film business course, hosted by Hannah McGinty and edited by Manuel Mesa. Follow us at Memoir Mastery literally anywhere for more creative business tips.